Live from Columbia, this is WIS News 10 at 10 on Columbia's CW.
Good evening and thanks so much for joining us on your News at 10. I'm Madeline Stewart. The U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs says that an average of 120 South Carolina veterans die by suicide each year. Today, Friends of the Columbia Vet Center hosted the 4th annual Steps and Strides Against Veteran Suicide Fall Festival to raise awareness for veteran suicide prevention. Sophie Keys-Hogue reports.
I lost friends in combat, and I get that it's hard to go back and forth from an adrenaline-based environment, not let alone retiring from the military, let alone losing friends in combat, and then come back to a normal world and just adjust.
22 veterans lose their battles to post-traumatic stress disorder in America daily, according to the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. So this year, in honor of 2022, people attending Steps and Strides wore shirts that said, "We have 22 veterans to save."
We're trying to always reduce that number. We're trying to do everything we can to bring attention to it.
The festival is the only event of its kind in the state for veterans and their families to see they have resources and are not alone. The Vet Center Director, Sonia Campbell, has been working with veterans for 13 years now and says suicide can be prevented.
If we can work together as a community to get these veterans help, to educate family members on how to get veterans help, then we're doing our jobs.
Information about the new 988 crisis line was also available for attendees, which serves as a 24/7 number for veterans, family members, and friends to call for help.
Those veterans who may be a little afraid to reach out, that we're here, doors open, we're welcome.
With South Carolina's veteran suicide rate not being too far off from the national rate, which the VA says is 31 deaths per 100,000, days like this give families hope for the future. Sophie Keys-Hogue, WIS News 10.
The new 988 Veteran Crisis Line is recognized as the new nationwide 3-digit emergency phone number. If you or someone you know are in need of help, we have more information about suicide prevention on our website, WIS-TV.com. Well, turning now to your first alert forecast, and joining us is meteorologist Mark Johnson. So, Mark, the Midlands stayed mostly dry through the week and certainly through today. How about the rest of the weekend? What should we expect? All right, thanks, Mark. We now know the identity of a motorcyclist who was killed last night in a crash. The Kershaw County coroner says 28-year-old Keith Allen Humphreys died as a result of the crash. The coroner says both vehicles involved in that crash were headed south on Highway 1 toward Camden from the Cassett area. The motorcycle was turning left onto Park Road off of Highway 1 when the truck ran into the back of Humphrey's motorcycle. Officials say that he was not wearing a helmet at the time of the crash, and this incident is being investigated by South Carolina Highway Patrol. Officials say they are not pursuing charges against the Georgetown officer who shot and killed a man back in July. This photo from Officer Stephen Cribbs' body camera shows the moment before the shooting when authorities found victim James Frazier. The incident happened when Officer Cribb responded to a robbery, and according to a SLED report, Frazier ran toward the officer with a knife yelling expletives. Cribb then fired multiple shots, but Frazier kept running at the officer until the 5th shot hit his head and knocked him to the ground. Frazier was pronounced dead at the scene, and officials say the state will not be pursuing charges against the officer because they say he was justified in his actions. About 100 people in local affordable housing complexes were recently notified that their rent will go up by about $500 per month. Our Ashley Jones spoke with the property's manager to get some answers for concerned residents. And WIS is also told that housing authority officials are planning to meet with Rent Haven management to figure out how they will be phasing in those rent changes. Well, is there anything lying around your attic that's worth $1.5 million? An auction house based in Greenville, South Carolina just set a new world record after selling what's called the Holy Grail of antique signs. Richmond Auction sold a gasoline sign from the 1920s for $1.5 million, shattering the previous record of $400,000. Collectors say the double-sided porcelain Musco gasoline sign was discovered in a Michigan attic and has never been seen before by the public.
This family that had this sign contacted us, and when we found out what it was, we were on the first plane to Michigan. When they uncovered it, I mean, I got chill bumps. It's literally pristine, it's perfect. I've seen several Muscos in my lifetime, never anything like this.
The buyer of the record-setting Musco sign wants to remain anonymous. Richmond Auction's next auction is scheduled for February of 2023. Well, still to come on your news at 10, the latest updates from the United Kingdom, where Queen Elizabeth II is set to be laid to rest on Monday. We'll have that story and more after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back. A mass outpouring of emotion continues around the world as many people continue to mourn the death of Queen Elizabeth II. She lies in state at Westminster Hall in London until her funeral on Monday. NBC's Bree Jackson has the latest. We want to make sure to mention that this coming Monday, September 19th, our NBC team will be providing live, uninterrupted coverage of Queen Elizabeth's funeral, and that starts at 5:30 a.m. WIS Sunrise will air as normal from 4:30 to 5:30 a.m., and then Sunrise will switch over to the CW on 10.2 from 5:30 until 7 a.m. Our station will also be providing a live stream of our Sunrise programming on our digital platforms between 4:30 and 7 o'clock that morning. And here in the U.S., Attorney General Merrick Garland says Americans need to overcome the, quote, intense polarization in our country. He made those remarks today at Ellis Island, where he delivered the oath of allegiance for 250 naturalized citizens. Garland talked about how his own family faced anti-Semitism before World War II, and escaped to New York. His speech focused on the importance of the rule of law and how Americans must not allow issues between us to fracture our democracy.
Overcoming the current polarization in our public life is and will continue to be a difficult task. But we cannot overcome it by ignoring it. We must address the fractures in our society with honesty, with humility, and with respect for the rule of law.
Garland's remarks come as the court battle heats up between the Justice Department and former President Donald Trump over classified records seized from Trump's Mar-a-Lago home in Florida. Still to come on your news at 10, it's been a quiet week weather-wise so far, and it's looking like that's going to be the trend for this coming week with a bit of a warm-up on the way. We'll have a full look at your forecast right after the break. All right, welcome back. Let's get a final check of your weather with meteorologist Mark Johnson.
Well, if you enjoyed today, you're going to enjoy Sunday. We're looking at temperatures climbing into the middle 80s once again.